Hey gamers, it's Wintermute here from Grind This Game, and this is going to be a kind of a beginner's guide to oxygen not included. And so I'm going to start off with kind of picking your duplicants. I've started off with the default settings, so I have a detailed guide for how to choose duplicants that I'll link to in the description, but I'll just quickly go over kind of what's good and what's bad for duplicants. Now, their attributes, you don't have to worry about them too much because as they do things, they'll level up these attributes, but there's certain traits you want to avoid. So let's go over some of the negative ones over here with Ren. Squeamish isn't too bad. Gastrophobia means they can't cook. That's not too bad unless all three of your dupes have it, then you won't be able to cook. Small bladder is fine. It just means they'll go to the bathroom a little bit more often. Irritable bowel, also not too bad. They'll just spend a little bit more time going to the bathroom. Anemic you want to avoid because they're going to be really slow, and they won't be able to get around and do stuff for you, so avoid anemic. And mouth breather you definitely want to avoid because they're going to be consuming more oxygen, and the name of the game is oxygen not included, so you got to make sure you don't get this. Now the flip side, diver's lungs, means their air oxygen consumption is lower, so this is a really good trait to have, but it's not necessary. Loud sleeper is kind of one of those ones. It's up to you. You'll have to keep their bed kind of separated from the other beds that you build in their bedrooms, because when these guys snore, they'll wake up the other guys if they're too close. And narcoleptic's kind of cute. They take little naps once in a while. It's not too bad, so that one's a fine one to get. Yokel means they can't research, so that's fine, but you don't want all three to have yokel or you won't be able to do any research. Biohazardous, it's not too bad to have. Their immune system will be a bit weaker, and if you're playing on the default settings, that won't be too bad. So I think that's it for the negative traits that you want to avoid. And in terms of their interests, you probably want one that has research. And then you might want one that has cooking or art. But it's not too critical to have any interest at all. So I'm going to go with this. The stress reaction, there are some ones that are really bad, but I'm going to assume that we never get to a point where the dupes stress out. I'm going to try to teach you tactics to keep them nice and calm, because if they do get their stress reaction, like binge eating, they'll pretty much eat all your food, which is really bad. Vomiter is not too bad, but destructive is really bad. They'll go start destroying things in your base. So let's start a colony with that. So the first thing you want to do is pause, hit your spacebar, or up in the top left you can control spacebar. You can kind of play as normal speed. Then there's medium speed and fast speed. You want to stick with slow speed, probably as you're learning the game, and then maybe during night times and stuff you can speed it up if they're not doing anything. And then mouse wheel to zoom out, and then take a look around, see what you have. You usually start off with at least 1 or 2 pockets of water, and we'll be using that really early on. We were lucky, we got 3 pockets. And then there's this stuff, oxalate. This stuff here, it's giving you some kind of free starter oxygen. Now I call this area that we're in right here the bubble, this central circle here. I just hit the temperature overlay, which is F3, and you can see if you hover over, the temperature is around 22, 21 degrees, which is a nice temperature for the duplicants. It's also a nice temperature to grow food, so you don't want it to get too hot early on, because you want to grow some food and you'll want to keep the temperature kind of in this range. Now the thing that will introduce heat is machinery and stuff, so we'll get to that a bit later, but your duplicants have kind of some critical needs. Oxygen's one of them, and you can see the oxygen with the oxygen overlay if you hit F1 or if you use these overlays in the top right. So you can see blue, bright blue is lots of oxygen. This kind of darker blue, which we can't see right now, is less oxygen, and then red is unbreathable. So red might be carbon dioxide or hydrogen or other gases, or a vacuum like this up here. So oxygen is critical. So if you just kind of didn't do anything and just sat here and this oxalate got used up, your duplicants would die. It's kind of like an acute thing that if they run on oxygen, they'll die immediately. So it's really important. The next most important thing I would say is food. So you start off with, if you look in the top left, you start off with 16,000 kilocalories. And the duplicants, they eat, let's say, they eat about, I think, 1,000 per cycle. And a cycle is like a day that goes by, and you can see your cycle up here. This little clock kind of turns around. And then they go to sleep at night, and then it's the morning again. So food is important, and you start off with, like I say, 16,000. But then there's little bits of food in these starting pocket areas, like you'll have some mealwood here, which they can eat. They can eat buried muckroot. And there's some more food down here. And then there's some bristle blossoms that you can start with sometimes. I don't see any. Oh, there's one right here. So that's food. It's important. And then two of the other less critical needs, but they're important, is health. Just general health, like if they get germs, too many germs, they'll get sick and they'll die if they don't get treated. And then getting too hot or too cold, I consider like a health issue. So you want to make sure they stay in a nice kind of temperate temperature. You can see if it's red, it's like molten hot or scorching. They don't like it. They like it around the green area, and then warm is also okay. And then stress is the other thing that's important. And if they get too stressed out, they'll get their stress response. And things can kind of go bad really quickly if they get stressed out. So you want to keep them nice and calm. And I'll kind of teach you ways to do that as we go along. So let's, the first thing you want to do, if you click on a dupe, you can see their bladder is at 7%. And as time ticks along, their bladder will get completely full. And if you don't have a bathroom for them, they will pee on the ground. And that's bad for a couple of reasons. You get dirty, polluted water on the ground. And it will also start spreading germs. And you don't want a germ outbreak in your colony. So the first thing I usually do is build a bathroom. And to start that, I usually put it in a dead-end hallway. So you can hit dig down here in the bottom right, or you can hit G and kind of paint along to start assigning a dig order. And then these duplicants will start using their little lasers to kind of dig out the rock. Most of what you start off with is sandstone, which you can then use to build things like tiles. Like this is a bunch of tile here. So in order to get a nice bathroom set up, we're going to need some sinks, which are under medicine. Wash basins. And wash basins require water, so we're going to have to get into some water early on. Let's just pause. Let me decide which water I want to use. I'll probably use maybe this water down here first. So we'll let them kind of dig across. You got to be careful of sand, because sand will cave in and fall on their heads. So you got to be careful about that. So as I dig along here, this sand will fall down, but as you'll see in a second. Now you want them to have toilets built before their bladders get full, and before the first cycle is done is kind of my primary goal of the first cycle. So we'll speed things up just to, well, we got to plan out our first bathroom. Now, don't be afraid to build something and then tear it down later, because you get your materials back. So if you build a bathroom and you want to rearrange it later, it's not too bad. So let's, actually, do I want to use this water down here? I probably won't, because it's going to be in the way of the bathroom. Maybe I'll build it over here. We'll build the bathroom over here, but now this little guy, this little hatch, there's little animals in the game. They'll eat your materials if you leave them on the ground too long. So you'll want to build some storage containers later on, but that's not the critical thing. So we're kind of, where this little dark bar is running around the circle here. Once it gets all the way to the red line, then it's nighttime. So you want to make sure your bathroom's built before that. So I'm just digging out here. I'm going to build a ladder down into the water here. Dig this out. And you build ladders and tiles in this bottom base menu. We're going to try to get to the water. We don't want the water to leak out, but we're going to expose it so that we can build a thing. I don't even need that ladder. This thing called under plumbing, there's a pitch pump. So that's probably the first thing you want to build. The hatch just fell in the water and he's going to die, but that's too bad. The other thing is duplicants can climb up 2 tiles. I'm going to speed things up here so we can move along. Now Bert is stuck, but once we build this little ramp, he can get back down. So I'm going to pause. So now they have access to water. This thing, this pitch pump, as long as it has this little tail in the water, they can pump little jars of water out of it. So we got water, and now we want to go over here and we want to build, under medicine, we want to build a wash basin. And I'm going to build it right, I want to leave room for 3 wash basins and 3 toilets. So maybe I'll put it over here. Maybe here. So 1 wash basin, we'll get that built. And 1 toilet. Under plumbing, there's an outhouse. So I'm going to leave room for a sink here, or a wash basin here, a wash basin here, and then I'm going to put a toilet here. So we got that, and I build 1 of each first. Now before the toilet gets finished, you want to make sure the wash basin, if you click on it, it has this priority, these numbers here. I usually set this to priority 7 or 8, and that will make sure that they go to the water pump, get water, which Otto's doing nicely here. He's going to get the water, he's going to bring it over, and he's going to stick it in the wash basin. So there's like a clean water area, which you'll fill up, that just filled up. And then when they wash their hands, when they walk by here, the dirty water will go in this little vial here. And later on you'll have to deal with the dirty water, but for now we're fine. And I set it high priority so they get the water in there really early. Now the sink has a direction, and you can set it here. So if we set it to the right, that means if they travel from here and they're walking this way, and their hands are dirty, they'll wash their hands. You can leave it as both directions as well, because usually their hands will be clean when they're over here, and if they're going to the left, they won't waste time and wash their hands. So you can leave it on both, but you can also just set it to the right. Now the outhouse is getting built, and we're good. It's not nighttime yet, and the outhouse requires dirt. See, it says awaiting material dirt, 200 kilograms, and there's lots of dirt kind of as you start out that we dug out. So they'll put the dirt in there, and now it's ready to go. It says 15 visits remaining. And I'm going to set the priority of the outhouse up at 8, because you never want your outhouses to be kind of out of commission. Now, if you only build 1 outhouse, what happens is that duplicants, if 2 of them have to go to the bathroom at once, really badly, 1 will be in here using the toilet and 1 will pee on the floor, and you don't want that. So what I usually do is I go in under plumbing, I build you want to build the sink first, just in case. So I'm going to build another wash basin, get that built, and then I'm going to build a second outhouse right here. And that way, if 2 of them want to go to the bathroom at the same time, you won't get a collision and you won't get them kind of peeing on the floor. And you want to set the priorities for these as well. So we're going to set the priority of this sink to, I think I set it to 7 over here, or 8. Let's just set them both to 7. So sink's at 7. Always hit pause because you got lots of time to think, and then you're not having the time tick away. Now, I'm going to put in a third toilet because we have 3 dupes, And that way we have even more leeway in case all three of them want to go to the bathroom at once, which is rare, but it can happen. So we'll stick an outhouse here. Now, if you don't dig it out first and you place a piece of furniture like this, or a building, they'll go and they'll dig it out for you. So it's kind of saves you time from selecting dig and then putting the outhouse in. And I'm also going to put in a third wash basin right here. So I consider the first cycle success if you get your bathroom set up, ready to go. And we're pretty much almost done that, but I'm going to pause, and we want to seal this in a room. And the reason is that if you click on the top right here, there's a room overlay, and there's a bunch of room types. And if you seal in a bathroom, it becomes a latrine, and your duplicants will get extra stress relief if they use a nice bathroom. So to enclose it as a room, under base you hit pneumatic door. You need a door for them to get in and out. And you could build tiles up here, but what I usually end up doing is building 2 doors, because that way you get better airflow. It looks a bit funny, but you can use tiles as well. And later on you'll get a thing called an airflow tile, which you could put here instead. But you want your rooms to be nice and breathable. So we'll set the priority of the wash basins. And if you want to see the priority of buildings, hit P, and you'll see that the wash basins are 7, this one outhouse is 8, and I'm going to hit 8 and set the other two to 8 as well. Now I also am going to set these to direction right. Maybe I'll leave the last one as both ways, just in case they have dirty hands coming on the way in. Now I usually also open the door, so if you click the door and hit open, it will leave it open. And that way they won't waste time. Usually if the door is closed, they take some time getting back and forth. But now if you click the room overlay, you'll see this is now a latrine room, and they get extra stress relief from going to the bathroom in here. So that's kind of the first cycle. We're almost out. It's almost nighttime. And you could try to build some beds if you have time left. I wonder if I'll do that. Let's just see. We could quickly probably build some beds. Temporary beds. So let's put those right here for now. This is very temporary. I'm going to destroy these and build a proper bedroom in the next cycle. But just for the night, we're going to build some beds so they have something to sleep in the first night. So here we go. It's almost nighttime. We'll speed things up, and they should be going to sleep. There they go. So a little sleep through the night, and if they're in a proper bedroom, they'll get more stress relief, and you can kind of see their stress goes down in the evenings. And their bladders are going up, so they'll be happy to have bathrooms ready for them in the morning here. This game is all about kind of dealing with the next crisis. There's always a crisis. So your first crisis will probably be, if you don't get the bathroom set up really early, will be germs. And then your next crisis might be oxygen once this oxygen kind of runs out in here. So that's kind of step 1, is getting those bathrooms up. Now, what I'll probably do next is get a proper bedroom set up so they get that stress relief at night. And I'm going to build a ladder. I'm going to build a second floor up here. Now you want your floors to be kind of 4 tiles high. That will enable you to fit pretty much any machinery or any bedroom, or sorry, any machinery or anything in the room. If you build it 3 high, there's certain things that won't fit that you get later on. So I'm going to build a ladder kind of up this way. Now you don't want to build through your oxalite because it's giving you precious oxygen, so I'm gonna go up this way. Build a ladder up this way. And then I'll probably put the bedroom maybe up here. Now there's optimal sizes for the bedrooms, for all the rooms. The bedroom's called the barracks, and it can be a maximum size of 64 tiles. Oh, they're all eating now. Let's speed things up. Later on you can build them a place to eat properly, but for now we don't have that. we're going to build up on the next floor. We're going to put a bedroom, and I'm going to try to preserve that oxalite for now by not digging it out. But later on we're going to have to replace that. There's not much oxygen left in the oxalite, but if you hover over it, you can see there's 158 kilograms left. Yeah, we'll get a bit of a cave in here as they go. Now this is dirt here, and this is algae, which becomes pretty important early on. You can use algae to make oxygen later. So once you run out of the early oxygen, it's pretty useful to get. I'll slow things back down here. So we're going to build a bedroom in here, a proper bedroom. So I'm going to do the door thing. I'm going to build kind of 2 doors like that. And for now, I'll just make it a small bedroom. You can expand it later. We'll dig this out. Speed things back up. Now you'll notice in the top left there's their stress output, or their stress levels. They're all at 0% stress at the moment, which is good. If this creeps up and gets to a higher level, then they'll stress out and it's bad. And then there's also their immune systems. If they encounter germs, like if they went to the washroom, didn't wash their hands, and then ate some food, they would start to get food poisoning. And you can see the germs with this germ overlay, which is F9. And right now there's no germs, but you can see these outhouses are a source of germs. Every time they use this outhouse, they're going to get 200,000 germs, but then they'll walk by, they'll wash their hands, and it'll kill most of the germs, or pretty much all the germs. So now that we got this little room built, let's fill it under furniture. We'll go cots, which are beds. We'll put their 3 beds in there. We'll build a 4th one just for later use, because we're going to get more duplicants soon. Now if we look at the room overlay, pause and hit the room overlay, we can see this is a proper barracks, or bedroom. I call them bedrooms. And they'll get extra stress relief from sleeping in this room. Now you can hit X, or you can hit deconstruct down here. And I'm going to go and I'm going to... you can select all, but I usually select buildings. And then you can go and kind of paint over this, and they're going to go deconstruct these beds. Because that was just temporary. And now they got a proper bedroom for the second night, which they'll enjoy. And the thing you probably want to do... Oh, we'll have to keep an eye on this oxalite, because once it's gone, there'll be like a hole in the floor, and we'll have to go and put in tiles. So keep an eye on that if you happen to... Every map is different, so this could be, drastically different. Your oxalite could be in a different place. Now let's also put in a proper floor along here. Now certain tiles, you can see the run speed on tile is 25%, so it's good to make your floors out of... I just realized I made this too high. It should only be 4 high. But I will not fix it during this tutorial. Yeah, so this should only be 4 tiles, and then the floor, and then the beds. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the sandstone. The tile gives you an extra running speed, but you also get a decor bonus. And decor is kind of like how fancy the room is, and there's a decor overlay in the top right, or F8. And you can see there's decor. Green is good and red is bad. And the reason it's red here is because there's a bunch of junk on the floor. And the reason it's green here is the shine bug, and this starting printing pod gives off some decor. So we'll want to sweep up the mess in here. And we can do that by building a storage container, storage compactor. Now you don't have to build these right away, but I will build a few here for now. They're not the most important thing to do right away, but... And then if you click on them, you can select sweep only. I usually do sweep only. And I usually do, I select pretty much, I'll select all, but you can select consumable ore and raw metal, raw mineral. maybe organic. Actually, not organic. If you open up organic, it's okay to put algae in there. And same with cultivable. The soil is okay. You can select that one. And then to copy the settings from that, you can do copy settings down here, and it'll paste it on your other container. And the reason I use sweep only is if you don't hit sweep only, they'll start picking up everything and sticking it in the storage containers. And if you start digging out the whole map, they'll start trying to clean up the entire map. So we'll just do a little sweep order down here on the bottom right. You can hit sweep, and then you can kind of select it all, and they'll go in there and they'll sweep up everything that's set for these to go in these containers. And I don't end up sweeping up everything. I just sweep out the important areas, so I'll probably sweep out the bathroom as well. So we got our bedroom, we got our bathrooms. The next thing we probably want to do is research. And research requires a research station, but it's nighttime. We'll let them sleep, but we'll get ready for the next cycle. So we'll dig in here. You may not want to dig into a vacuum area, but I'm going to go in here anyway. I really should have fixed my floor, but that's okay. Oh, and the bed is messed up because the oxalate ran away, so we'll put a tile in there. Also open up this door so they can get around quicker. So for research, which is how you unlock a bunch of technologies, you can't click it yet, but once you get a research building done, you can do that. So I'll make a little room for it here, and under stations you have research station, and I'll put that right here. Now the research station, as you can see when you go to build it, there's like a little plug on it, and you can see the power overlay by hitting F2. You'll see the little plugs, and if you have wires built, you'll see all the wires and stuff. So now that the research station is built, we need to power it. So we're going to go under power, and we're going to build a manual generator. Stick that there. And in order to, if you just connected well, let's build a manual generator, and then we'll build some wire to connect the two. Now if you did just this, I'm going to cancel my sweep order so they come and build this stuff first. If you just built this, one duplicant would get on the wheel and start running, and then the other one could research here. But they would run forever because we're not storing the power. So we want to build a battery, you start off with a tiny battery, which you'll want to replace later on, but we'll build a tiny battery there. And I'll just connect this to the tiny battery. So now when they run on the wheel, the battery will get charged up, and once it's charged up, they'll jump off the wheel, which is nice. You might want to build two tiny batteries early on, just for a little bit more storage. That way they're not having to get on the wheel as much. Now that we have power, we can click this and click research, or you can just hit the research up here, or you can hit R to open your research window. And there's a lot of stuff in the game to research, so I'm going to do, the first thing I like to do is advanced research, because that unlocks the supercomputer, which lets you get into doing all these researches, but also it unlocks the jobs board, where you can assign jobs to your duplicants. So I'll select that. And right now, they'll be kind of random in terms of who goes and does the research. So you can set who does the certain jobs or the priorities of their jobs under priorities. And I'll pause the game while I do this. So you can set who should do what, and I'm going to set under research. We have a couple duplicates that are better at research, and if you hover over this tile here or this area, you'll see that Bert has a learning skill of 2, so he's pretty good at research. And Otto has a learning skill of 2 as well. So what I'm going to do is up here you can assign all dupes to I'm going to disable research for everyone except Bert. If you left click, you can toggle this up until it's a higher priority. And this way Bert will be the only one researching, and then any new duplicants that we take on, they won't be doing research. So it kind of specializes Bert. on the research table. Now this glowing printing pod means we have another duplicant ready, so I'm going to take on another one here. And I'm going to choose... probably not unconstructive because they can't build. You're not forced to take a duplicant. You can wait until the next one comes, but I'm going to take on Marie here. So now we got Marie, and I'm going to pause again because I don't want to get too far behind here. So we got our bedroom, we got our bathroom, we got our research, and we're doing advanced research. And then we got next, once we get the advanced research done, we're going to build a jobs board, but I think I'll save that for the next tutorial. This will be a tutorial series. I don't want to put too much in each episode. And so next time we'll just continue on, and I'll try to get through some more of the basics. So I hope you enjoyed that. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.